Today we're joined by one of the co-authors of the article that you're reading. This is Dr. Maureen Powers, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the article and the who, what, why, when, where, and how of how this came to be. So good day to you, Dr. Powers. How are you today?
I'm very well, Dr. Taub. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Can you tell us a little bit about the article and where the impetus came from for it?
Sure. It's kind of an interesting story. Dr. Day was working with Dr. Faktorovich in her practice with refractive surgery patients who were complaining about blurred vision following refractive surgery, typically LASIK. Gina was at that time, the primary optometrist involved, and she had the idea that some of these patients might have binocular vision problems, which could have originated either before or after the LASIK surgery. And it happens that I took my daughter, Gina and I are friends, we knew each other from some school projects years ago, and I took my daughter for an exam to Gina's office, and we chatted about these myopic patients that were having difficulties with blur post-LASIK surgery. We suggested that we do a study together, and that was the beginning. The idea was that if it was indeed a binocular vision problem, then perhaps discovering what the problem was and giving some visual skills training via computer might be appropriate for these adults.
So, can you tell us a little bit about how did you go about doing this study? Was it complicated to do? Where was it done?
I don't think it was complicated. Anything involving human subjects is always a little bit challenging. So we found 18 patients that had the characteristics we were interested in, and 12 of them wound up being subjects for the study. Some of them wound up finishing a sufficient number of sessions and some didn't, and that was, I guess, our biggest challenge. Once they were identified by Gina by virtue of having the symptoms of binocular vision problems, then she did an examination in her office in San Francisco in Dr. Faktorovich's practice and recorded the signs of each of the individuals. Then they were trained on how to do an online visual skills training program, which consisted of wearing 3D glasses, using flippers, and so on and so forth. So there was a little bit of training involved. That was done remotely. The patients did this work at home on their own computers or in their offices whenever they had time. And so there wasn't much of a challenge in terms of their time, except when they decided to go into the office, of course, and take advantage of Gina's offer to do true vision therapy. So I think there was some logistical issues there that Gina handled fine. And then the patients themselves just did the program, and then we did post program measurements, of course, in the office.
And what were some of the results that you found in the study?
Yeah, it was very interesting. So we found in general that the patients felt better about their eyes after they had gone through whatever course of therapy they chose. Now, it was left up to them. And one reason this is a series of case studies rather than a regular experimental study, is that the patients had the choice of either doing vision therapy in the office or doing vision training via computer or some combination of both. And basically what we found was, first of all, the more sessions they did, the better they felt and the better their signs were. We found that if you average the cases together, they did improve in their convergence performance. And the ones who were pre-presbyopic improved in their accommodative performance as well. So we believe that the symptomatic relief that they expressed was due to an improvement in their binocular vision function that we measured.
And did you find any difference? What was the number of subjects that did the more traditional therapy versus the home, or a combination, if you have those numbers handy?
Yeah, I will have to actually consult this to make sure. There's a table in the paper, and if your people reviewing can look at table 1, and the third column from the right lists the CVST plus OVT sessions. So CVST stands for Computer Vision Therapy, Vision Training, and OVT is office vision therapy. And the first number in that column represents CVST, computer training sessions, and the second represents office training sessions. So there's a variety, there's a mixture. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 patients actually did office vision training. The rest did not.
And did you find any difference in improvements, either in office or versus the computer? Was there any difference?
Well, in general, the more sessions they did, the better off they were, regardless of which one there was. Both Gina and I believe that those patients who had office vision therapy in addition were better off than those who, in the end of the study, than those who did not. Some of the patients who you can read in the paper, she suggested do some more office vision therapy declined. She believes their results would have been better had they taken that opportunity. So I think there's no doubt in either of our minds that the vision skills training is kind of a first approach. It helped those patients to the extent that that kind of level of training can help, but there's no doubt that the in-office training therapy was a big addition for those subjects who did it.
And what are your next step with the study? Are you planning to take it any further?
Well, we have another paper that we're writing, which talks about the, quote, risk factors involved in patients who show this profile post-LASIK surgery. It turns out that the percent of patients in Dr. Faktorovich's practice is very low. It's less than 1%. We would not expect this to be a very large proportion of the population who elect LASIK surgery, but when it occurs, it's very disturbing. So one of the things that's happening is that in Dr. Faktorovich's practice, they're warning patients who have a particular profile that this could occur to them. I believe that an appropriate action for ophthalmologists who do this kind of work would be to offer vision training, vision therapy to patients who are at risk before the surgery if they want it, and certainly after the surgery if they have this kind of issue. Our paper that we're preparing now shows that people in general with low myopia and those with higher astigmatism, and especially those who show a difference between manifest and cycloplegic refraction, those people are the ones who are at most risk for this. And we compared actually a set of patients, 18 patients, characteristics with, I believe it was over 200 who had the surgery, who all of them had the surgery during the same time period. 18 showed this pattern, and the others did not.
And do you think it's the extra testing and the specialized care that the surgeon is doing and the doctor's doing the workup that lead to a lower incidence rate?
I can't answer that. I think that's a very good question. It possibly is, but I don't have the data. That's a difficult question to actually answer empirically. I do think that in Dr. Faktorovich's practice, there's certainly a level of concern and care for the patients who come to her for surgery that is exemplary. And I'm really proud and pleased that we were able to put this team together.
Wonderful. Well, we look forward to hearing about and reading that other study. And thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dr. Tao.